Hey, what's up, book team? It's Amelia and welcome back to my channel. So today I am going to be doing a video that I definitely missed the window for, and that is my 2016 reading goals. But I am going to be calling it my Lunar New Year reading goals because the Chinese New Year is just as important and it happened this month, so hooray! Happy Year of the Monkey to you! So this year I am participating in two challenges that kind of go hand in hand. The first is the 2016 Pop Sugar Reading Challenge. This challenge requires you to read 41 books during the year, and each book needs to fit a certain requirement. For example, some of the requirements for this year are a book that you haven't read since high school, a book that's set on an island, a book that has been recommended to you by a family member. So as you can see, it pushes you to think outside of the box with your reading choices and also forces you to step out of your comfort zone, which I'm always a fan of. So far this year I have read 5 out of the 41 books, and those are All the Light We Cannot See by Doerr, which I am using to check off a New York Times bestseller. The Wrath and the Dawn by Renee, which I am using to check off a book that is based off of a fairy tale. A Monster Calls by Ness, which I am using to check off a book that is going to be made into a movie this year. Anna and the French Kiss by Perkins, which I am using to check off a book that is set in Europe, although that might change. And finally, The Fifth Wave by Yancey, which I am using to check off a dystopian novel, but that too might change. The reason why I'm saying those two might change is because they apply to more than one category, so I might be doing some rearranging as I go along. As for planning what to read for each category, I have a master list on my computer that basically has every single requirement, and then underneath a list of the books that fit each requirement that I would be interested in reading. I would love to go through that entire list with you, but it would take forever and a day, so I am just going to go through the books that I have basically locked in for certain requirements. So for a romance set in the future, I have Illuminae, written by Amie, Kaufman, and Jade Kristoff. And this just happens to be the book that is next on my list to read, so I'm super excited about it. For a book that has been recommended to you by someone you just met, I have The Other Woman by Jade Wright. I'm not entirely sure if this counts because Jade herself sent this to me in exchange for an honest review, but you know, just because it's a biased recommendation doesn't make it any less of a recommendation. For a political memoir, I plan on reading I Am Malala. I just keep hearing great things about this book, and I've looked up to Malala for a couple years now, so right when I saw that category, I knew exactly what I was going to use. For a book that's over 600 pages, I plan on reading Alexander Hamilton by Chernow. I am obsessed with Hamilton the musical, and ever since I listened to it, I really became fascinated with Alexander Hamilton. So what better way to read about the founding father with no father than reading the very book that inspired the musical? For a science fiction novel, I really want to read The Martian by Weir. Once again, it's a book that I've heard a lot about, and I've just been very lazy in getting to it, but I really want to read it, so there you go. For a book recommended by a family member, I want to read My Brilliant Friend by Elena Ferrante. My mom has absolutely been raving about these books and Ferrante in general, and I really trust her opinion, so I'm really looking forward to reading this one. And Mom, I know you're watching, I haven't forgotten it, and it's still here, it's still fine. I haven't forgotten, I'm gonna read it, I promise, I promise. For a book of poetry, I plan on reading Black Butterfly by Robert M. Drake. And finally, for an autobiography, I plan on reading Life by Keith Richards because once again, it's a book that I've been wanting to pick up forever, and my dad really wants me to read it as well, so there you go. Now when it comes to choosing what to read next, I usually just read according to my mood, so I'll probably just scan my master list and see what really sticks out to me. However, sometimes I can be very indecisive, so I have created a Pop Sugar Reading Challenge TBR jar. It's an extremely long name, I know, I'm working on it. So this jar functions as your usual TBR jar, but instead of book titles in the jar, I have the requirements and categories in there instead. So all I have to do is draw, see what category is next, go to my master list, see what books I have that apply to that category, and then choose whatever pops out to me. So far, I think it's a great help with keeping me on track, and additionally, I am hoping it'll help me to avoid getting in any kind of reading slump, because those absolutely suck. And then the other challenge that I am partaking in this year is the Goodreads Reading Challenge. I have made a goal of 41 books to complement the 41 books that I have to read for the Pop Sugar Reading Challenge. I don't really want to make my Goodreads goal any higher because I do not want to put that extra pressure on myself. If I end up reading more than 41 books, then that's amazing and I will definitely have no complaints about it. But I am so dead set on finishing the Pop Sugar Challenge, so I am just going to focus on those 41 books. I also love the tracking bar that Goodreads has because it tells you when you're ahead or when you're behind, and it's just a nice reinforcement that I'm going at a good pace and that I shouldn't stress out too much about it. Unless I get behind, and then I probably will get stressed out about it. But right now I'm in the green, so we're doing okay. We're doing okay. So those are my reading goals for 2016 and the Lunar New Year. Please comment down below with your own goals, especially if you are doing a challenge, because I would love to talk with people who are also doing the Pop Sugar Challenge just to see what books they're choosing for the different categories. And I would also love to know what other challenges are going on this year because there are a ton and I just love finding out about all the different ones, and so maybe I can do another one next year. But yes, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please give it a big thumbs up. And if you want to be updated about future videos, then hit that fancy dancy subscribe button. I hope you all have a great rest of your week, and I will talk to you on Saturday, which is day one of what I am calling the weekend of the 5th wave. Are you intrigued yet? Because I sure hope so. It's gonna be all kinds of fun. All the fun in the world. Alright guys, talk to you later. Bye! And finally, The 5th Wave by Rick Yancey. Beyonce.